Hey everyone, welcome back to Bloodborne. So this is part 29 and we are nearing the end of the series. So we're going to explore from the lighthouse hut over here, go through this little door, and we're going to start exploring the inside here. You got some enemies, the fishmen hanging out in here. You've got some of the lightning guys chilling around. As I said before, once they try to do their lightning stuff, if you're under something, they're not actually able to hit you with it, which is pretty nice. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this area that I haven't really already said in the other videos that I've done inside of the fishing hamlet. I had started with the Moonlight Greatsword, but I'm still not doing a whole lot of damage with it, so I decided to switch back to the Saw Spear again. And I was mostly trying to figure out, like, where exactly I needed to go in here, because there's an area that you can't get to from here, I believe. And I think you have to go through somewhere else to get to it. Which that'll be in a future episode. But I think I was kind of trying to get down to that little area towards the left there. Because if you try to fall down there, you're going to die. I do like this part, though. The things that I kind of feel like are the cost parasites just kind of hanging out on the ground here. And I know they kind of just look straight up like snails, but I really think that they have something to do with cost. Unless there's something in the lore that I'm completely missing, which could be the case. But I definitely think that they look like cause parasites. I really like these enemies here too. How they're just mutated to be sort of snail-like creatures that inhabit the spiraled shell type thing. Which to me leads further evidence that the things that we're kind of walking around on right now are the cause parasites, because cause parasites are supposed to cause mutation in people. And it's interesting, like, as you go through the first part of the Hunter's Nightmare, forget what area it actually is in, but one of these actually falls from the sky, and I think makes like a really weird noise as you're walking by an area. It's really interesting to me that it falls from the sky because, of course, in the Hunter's Nightmare, you go up and up and up into the research hall, and you end up fighting Lady Maria at the Astral Clock Tower, and then the back of the Astral Clock Tower opens up and leads you into the fishing hamlet. So in the geography of the actual nightmare itself, the fishing hamlet is in the sky and everything else is sort of on the ground. Now, I don't know if that has any sort of meaning or lore significance, but I find it to be interesting. And of course, these guys take more damage if you hit them head on, but they have that grab attack that you saw a little bit earlier, which I didn't want to get hit by. And they can prove to be pretty damaging sometimes. There's some that kind of do a lunge attack at you, And later on in the area, there's even ones that aren't even in their shells anymore. And they can definitely kind of get the jump on you too. They can come out of their shells really quickly, like you saw there. Like that. That one just left their shell and completely jumped out at you. This is also a really good place to actually come and get blood chunks if you do happen to need them. I don't think there's any enemies here that you can farm for them, but just gathering them around the world, you can get a pretty decent amount of them. And of course, that leads into this little cave system where you'll see the shellless form of those enemies coming at you here. And they can actually move fairly quickly when they don't have their shell attached to them. The Accursed Brew showing itself being a fantastic spell again. A lot of times with that lunge attack, you can just roll underneath it, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. We just picked up the Bloody Trousers, and that is yet another area the Braider will invade you at, along with a lead elixir over there, which, in case you hadn't realized that that was what he was using during all of his invasions, you have that lead elixir over there that kind of tells you, hey, this is what this guy is using. You also got one of those guys around that shoots the pursuers at you. But he's guarded by a couple of snail people. So he's pretty hard to get to. So I kind of stood here from range and tried to draw them out one by one. Because if I went in there without doing that, I probably would have gotten killed just based on the fact that he does those spells. And I don't think I actually killed him. He kind of dropped through the world, which was kind of funny. And that cave system actually leads down to this little elevator thing, which we're going to crank this lever here and wait for it to come down. And this is the shortcut that is going to lead up to the house where the lamp is. So that way we can just straight come back down here without having to run through that cave system again. And thank God they put that elevator there too, because imagine trying to run through that cave system again, trying to get to Orphan of Kos every time you die to him. That definitely would have made that boss encounter at least somewhat unbearable. And this was actually where I was trying to find out how to get to the lower area of that cave system. I was just trying to do some exploring to figure that out, and I ended up finding it out later on. But I thought that you could get down there through this area, like I missed a ladder or something like that, but no. I just ended up going through the same cave system again. So my apologies for wasting a little bit of time exploring and not getting to where I actually needed or wanted to go. So I came down here, and of course I had already gotten all the enemies and stuff taken care of, so I just decided to grab some food and leave my character just chilling here. But we're going to Bold Hunter's Mark back in just a moment. And then we're going to go down this elevator again, and we're going to explore the rest of the cave system that we did not explore beforehand. If you come down here, there is an item. It's a Cursed Kin Hunter's triangle-shaped blood gem, which can be pretty good. That will give you a little bit increased damage against kin-type enemies, which would include the Celestial Minions, Celestial Emissary, enemies that come from the sky, basically. And then here you have more mutated forms of the villagers who got mutated by the Cause parasites, and now they are outside of the Orphan of Cause's boss room worshipping them. But we're going to go and we're going to fight Orphan of Cause in the next episode. I'm not going to do that in this particular one. And of course, down here, they have a Winter Lantern, which you'll see how well I do in just a moment. I don't know what was going on with my health. I don't really recall Frenzy doing that to you, where it just steadily drained your health, so I don't know if something else was going on, but that was a little weird to me, and I wasn't really prepared for it. Orphan of Cause is my third favorite fight in Bloodborne. And, of course, third favorite fight of the DLC. But also just, like I said, Bloodborne in general. I absolutely love the Orphan of Cause fight. And I can't wait to do it in the next episode. So we just bypassed the Winter Lantern. And my health was not being drained at that point, so I don't know if that was a thing that the Winter Lantern itself was doing. Maybe one of the attacks that it has here that it doesn't have in any other part of the game, because I don't recall that happening in any other part of the game, but I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and look at some old footage just to see, or maybe look it up on the wiki and figure out exactly what's going on with the Winter Lantern here, because that just seems kind of weird to me. You got a lot of these snail type enemies that kind of just come out of nowhere, and these, as far as I'm concerned, look like the worshippers outside of Kaz's boss room. So they could very well be just, non-violent forms of this enemy that are waiting outside the room there. This is also that area that I was looking down on from up top. This is how you actually get to it, I found out. And as you're taking care of the lightning type enemies, you of course get ambushed by a couple of these snail things. And those lunge attacks, like I said before, can be pretty devastating if you aren't too careful and get hit by one of them. And you got this little guy hiding in the corner. So if you're looking for places to farm blood gems, this is a pretty decent place to farm blood gems as well. You can get a bolt damp blood gem there, and the biggest thing that you can get down here is that blood rock, which, if you are keeping count with where I'm at in the playthrough with those, of course I can buy them for 60 insight from the insight bath messengers, but you get the one from the Brain of Mensis area, and then of course you can get a second one here. And then of course you can find them in certain chalice dungeons, and there is a chalice dungeon that is along the main chalice dungeon path that will give you a blood rock as well, which we'll get in a later episode. But yeah, they don't give you a whole lot of blood rocks in this game. They definitely make you work for it if you want more than 2 or 3. Unless you want to try to farm insight from chalice dungeon bosses and wherever else you can farm insight from. And then you can just keep getting the 60 insight blood rocks repeatedly. Seems like it would take a whole lot long time to do. So yeah, as you can see there, again, I'm losing health from something. So it's definitely an attack from the Winter Lanterns, but I just do not remember seeing that on previous Winter Lanterns that I had fought. Now, down here you're going to see the shark giants. This is the bottom of that well that we passed by. And I briefly remembered that I hadn't done this yet and thought about actually going to take care of these guys. And then I guess I decided that I didn't want to because I bold Hunter's Mark out here. And we go back to the Hunter's Dream. I want to get rid of these blood echoes that I have. And I think I take a little bit of time to rework some of the gems on my weapon here and change some of my Carol runes as well. Because I actually do go, and the first thing that I do in the next video is try to defeat Orphan of Kaz. Now, before we get into that, I I'm going to explain it more in the next video, but I took a couple of shots at Orphan of Kos, decided that I wanted to get more damage on my weapons, and decided I wanted to do some blood gem farming and some other stuff. So what I ended up doing was fighting Orphan of Kos like once or twice, and then I ended up going into some Chalice dungeons that didn't require the later Chalice dungeons to be opened, so that I could actually farm some of the blood gems that I end up using. And in doing that, I got a ton of levels. I got my arcane up to either 99 or almost 99 at that point, which you can do very, very easily if you go into some of these Chalice dungeons and repeatedly farm blood gems. But I'm going to talk more about that in the next video when I'm actually fighting Orphan of Kos, and when I'm actually showing some of the things that I'm doing. So that is going to do it for this video. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.